A very good afternoon. You're watching Newsx and I'm Shivani Singh. We're looking at the top story at this hour. In a landmark for India's defense self-reliance, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is delivering the first two Tejas MK1A fighter jets to the Indian Air Force today, October the 17th, at its Nashik facility, with Defense Minister Rajnath Singh flagging them off. These advanced jets, boasting of AESA radar, electronic warfare suits and air-to-air refueling, mark a critical step in modernizing the RAF's fleet, currently at 31 squadrons against a needed 42. With a recent rupees 62,370 crore order for 97 more jets and 65% indigenous content, the Tejas program strengthens national security and boosts the economy through 500 plus private sector partnerships. Flight trials begin post-handover with full induction by 2026. HAL also aims to scale production to 16 jets annually, but experts urge a target of 30 to address fleet shortages. Joining me on the broadcast is former Chief of Army Staff, General Retired Deepak Kapoor. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on this broadcast. We appreciate your time. A very good afternoon to you. So please help our viewers actually firstly understand. We have the visuals on our screen. Help our viewers understand how improved these new fighter jets are as compared to the previous ones, and how these capabilities are actually going to enhance our Indian Air Force fleets.
The new jets are improvement on what we already have. So to that extent, there is definitely an improvement in capabilities and an ability to indulge in combat in the air and to carry out strikes beyond visual range. To that extent, we are progressing, but in a world where the other countries are touching upon rank 5, 5th generation fighter aircraft, we need to get a lot more faster in being able to tackle those challenges which are there both on our western as well as the northern fronts. Especially in the context of a two-front scenario, the deficiency in the Air Force which is currently existing is definitely will be a constraint which needs to be made up rapidly, and it is currently at a level of approximately 75% of what the government has authorized in terms of 42 squadrons. So to make up to that level, it's a time-consuming process. Even with the introduction of the new aircraft, it is going to take something like 5 to 10 years to be able to fully incorporate these new aircraft. To that extent, the time frame is definitely a big challenge, and we need to hurry up to ensure that we are able to meet the two-front capability that is required of us to tackle threats on both our borders.
So you just mentioned that this supply chain management gap has been witnessed by this Tejas program over the years. We also saw a delay in the engines by GE, and we have only received the 4th engine on September the 30th, and we are yet to receive 2 more in December. And HAL actually says that there have been gaps in the supply chain management. However, we are looking to replace an aging IAF fleet, sir. So how do you see that we will be able to build this bridge that we are going to see, since MiG-21s have now been retired?
Well, MiG-21 is already retired. Yeah. And the fact is that since we have this engine deficiency, the time required for getting the requisite amount of force level, that is 42 squadrons, is therefore going to be a lot more than what was initially envisaged. With the introduction of this present fighter, the attempt is to try and make up the shortfall of the Indian Air Force, and that's a good attempt, and it's being done within the country. However, we are still dependent, like you mentioned, for engines from across the globe, from the US and other foreign vendors. To that extent, it's going to take time, and that is what is a cause for worry, because the situation today is rapidly changing, transforming, and challenges are increasing. So, to that extent, we need to get a lot more faster in tackling this situation.
So we are also learning that it has many enhanced capabilities, including the support of mid-air refueling, which comes as a big boost to the Indian Air Force, sir.
Excellent. There are definitely enhanced capabilities. Any future generation aircraft is bound to have additional capabilities. That is given in any force modernization whenever it happens. So, to that extent, if we acquire these capabilities, so would our adversaries, and perhaps a little more, because we know that our Western adversary and the Northern one are already starting to look at a sixth generation fighter. In this scenario, while we are still trying to acquire 4.5 fifth generation fighters, we still would be seen to be lagging behind unless we hurry up with the modernization and bring the Air Force to its authorized strength as the government has laid down, which will enable it to depict and give out a better account of itself. Also, the fact that we are going ahead with a degree of theaterization that requires self-sufficiency by the theater command, which are envisaged. And with this shortage of the aircraft, that would be a problematic issue. And to have the theaterization gone through fully and completely and efficiently, the deficiencies in the aircraft need to be made up quickly.
So I would also like to understand, since you have mentioned adversaries, how do you think the Tejas, the upgraded version of the Tejas, actually fares when we compare it to the advanced F-16s or the JAS 39 Gripen? Do you think we are at a comparable level?
We are specifically at a comparable level because of our capability of our pilots, who are very well trained, and they at times make up for a degree of shortfall in terms of the modernization of the Air Force. In the past battles also with our Western adversary, despite having a slightly lower capability aircraft, our Air Force has acquitted itself extremely well. And that is where our plus point lies. That's where our advantage lies. While technologically we may be a shade behind the adversary because they are being able to acquire all these modern aircraft from both China and also the West, it is important that they should be able to make full utilization of those aircraft, which is where we find that we have a better capability and therefore we give a much better account of ourselves. And that is how we are able to make up for the technology gap. But that's something which we should not be banking on. In fact, we should be looking at somewhat better technology as compared to our adversaries to definitely have a decisive victory in the air or even on the ground.
So you've spoken of the elite training that our Air Force pilots actually are being given, but I want to understand, do you think that it will also be a challenge going ahead, since these aircrafts will be delivered in phases, the training for the pilots, also the sustainment, spare parts and ground infrastructure that India has to maintain, or the Indian Air Force will have to maintain, that can be a challenge going forward. And given that the timeline for the delivery of these jets has already been delayed, do you think this factor will also play a key role?
The point is, as far as building up the training capabilities of our Air Force pilots and the Air Force are concerned, I have no doubt that we are already onto this path of increasing capabilities of our pilots to the extent to be able to handle fifth generation fighters as and when they come in. So frankly, the delay is going to be caused not by the training of the Air Force pilots. They would definitely be trained whenever the Air Force is able to acquire the later generation fighter aircraft, but the delay may because of the lack in terms of manufacture and supply to the Air Force the aircraft in time to be able to optimize their use and ensure better national security.
So on this point,